Hello friends, I am Dr. Queen Aditya. I am a gynecologist from Kolkata, and today we are going to talk about the topic called cancer cervix. So first of all, what is cervix? Cervix is that part of the uterus, the lower part of the uterus, which opens up during childbirth. So during pregnancy, the upper part of the uterus holds the baby and the cervix actually keeps the mouth closed. It is the mouth and it keeps it closed and helps the baby to stay inside. And during delivery, the mouth opens up and it helps the baby to come out. So it's that part of the uterus, the lower part, which keeps the baby in place, and that is the cervix. And cancer, as we all know, is the unlimited or uncontrolled growth of certain cells. So the cancer, so cervix or any other part of the body has specified cells, and if they start growing in an uncontrolled way, then it gives rise to all the problems that we all know of. And cancer cervix is one of the commonest reproductive organ cancers of our body. We all know about breast cancer, which is very common, but immediately after that, cervical cancer or cancer cervix is also very common. And in several years back, it used to be a very dreaded condition because a lot of women lost their lives. We lost a lot of women to this disease, but today things are happier because of certain changes that have happened throughout the world, and because we understand the disease better, and thereby we can prevent the woman from suffering from it. So what are the changes that we have? First of all, let us talk about what is the prevalence. As I mentioned, it is quite prevalent, as almost as much as breast cancer, and it is mostly a disease of the developing countries. Africa has a very high prevalence of cancer cervix, and also India is not far behind. Unfortunately, we have a high number of cancer cervix cases, and we want to reduce that number, and now we have ways by which we can do so, which I will just talk about. The causative factors why this happens is that mostly a virus called HPV or human papilloma virus has been found to be associated with this condition, and it is actually it comes to the woman through physical intimacy, and thereby once a woman is sexually active, she gets exposed to this HPV virus, and this virus stays in the system, and later it can give rise to cancer cervix. The other causes can be HIV also, multiple partners, very less age at first intimacy, physical intimacy, then repeated exposures, that is women who are very highly sexually active, they are also at higher risk. Higher number of childbirths, that is a woman who has given birth to 0 or 1 or 2 children is lesser at risk compared to women who have had 3, 4, 5 or more childbirths. So all of these are there, and an independent risk factor is also smoking. So that is also something we should keep in mind, and also the usage of oral contraceptive pills. These are all high risk factors for cancer of the cervix. Now what happens is that coming to the symptoms, in the early stages of the cancer, hardly there are any symptoms. Only later in the disease, the symptoms start, which might be bleeding at irregular intervals. We know a normal period. Apart from that, bleeding at any time, that can happen. Another thing can be excessive discharge, which can be smelly also. And also after physical intimacy, there can be bleeding, which we medically call the postcoital bleed. So these are usually the symptoms, but unfortunately these symptoms only come when the disease is of a advanced stage. Thereby we do not want these symptoms to appear. So how do we go about it? Now, as I mentioned, HPV virus is associated with more than around 90 to 95% of the cases of cancer cervix. Thereby, if we can prevent this HPV infection in the to our body, then we can save ourselves from this dreadful disease. And fortunately, a vaccine is now available internationally, globally it is available, and also in our country. And the logic of giving the vaccine is that it is an HPV vaccine. If we can vaccinate a girl with this before she is her physical intimacy, that part of her life begins, then we can prevent the deadly effects of the infection which she will subsequently contract. But once she has already had the HPV infection, giving the vaccine after that is less beneficial. Thereby, nowadays it is said between 9 and 15 is the ideal time when we should give the vaccine, but still in many countries it is approved up till 26, and in certain countries even up to 45. But beyond 45, it is not recommended recommended. And as we can understand logically, it's normal common sense that if we can give it before the sexual debut, then it is more beneficial. Thereby it is better to give between 9 and 15 years. Now that is the primary prevention. Now coming to the secondary prevention, fortunately there is a test available which is called Pap smear or Pap test, which is taken from the age of 21 years, and if the report comes normal, then it can be repeated every 3 years. Up till 3 years we assume that the risk of suffering from a cancer of the cervix is less if the previous report was normal. So that is how it is done, once every 3 years. It is a simple test. It hardly takes 5 to 10 minutes. Or even less than that in our clinic, and it is done when after the menstrual period is over. Better to be done a week after the menstrual period is over, and at that time it's very simple. Just lie down in our clinic, we put in a speculum, and with a stick we just touch the cervix, and then whatever cells come onto it, whatever the discharge comes onto it, we put it on a slide and see it under the microscope. And then if the cells are normal, then we say everything is fine, and we call you back after 3 years. But if there is something abnormal, we might have to follow it up by another test which is called colposcopy, in which it's like a microscope kind of a thing that is put inside, and there we can see the cells as they are magnified, and then we can identify which part is looking abnormal, and we can take a biopsy from that side. If the biopsy report is showing normal, then we can wait further. If there is an abnormality, there can be precancerous diseases. That is, the course of cancer cervix is such that from the normal cells developing into the cancer takes a long time. It is not one of those cancers that happens very fast. And during this entire phase, during the 5, 10, 15 years that from the normal it changes to the cancer, there are precancerous stages, and those stages can be picked up by the Pap smear and the colposcopy. And if we can find those precancerous stages, those can be treated with simple procedures, and thereby the uterus can be saved. And by the simple procedures, the diseased part of the cervix can be removed. And even after that, we will do a follow-up with the Pap smear and everything. But at least precancerous stages can be identified, and they can be treated before a florid or actual cancer is actually happening. So thereby, the good news is that first of all, an HPV vaccine is available. Secondly, the Pap smear, and if it comes out to be abnormal, can be followed up by a colposcopy and other tests, which in case find precancerous diseases, which can be treated by simple procedures. Unfortunately, if cancer is found, then also it can be treated. But the good news is that if this cancer is found in early stages, like stage 1, then it can very easily be treated by surgery, and the life of the woman is saved, and she will lead a disease-free life for several years. And that means it is good news. So the fact that someone is suffering from cancer cervix does not necessarily mean that she is doomed. She can survive the whole episode by proper treatment if it gets diagnosed early. Unfortunately, if it gets diagnosed in later stages, like stages 3 and 4, then probably surgery will not be beneficial. It will not give, or it might not be possible also, because the cancer can spread involving the other organs, and thereby the surgery is usually not possible in the later stages, only in stage 1 and stage 2A. If it's stage 2B or beyond, then cancer surgery is not possible. Then there are other methods like radiotherapy, which is the mainstay, which is the main form of treatment in cancer cervix, and sometimes there can be along with that some kind of chemotherapy. And even if it is a stage 1 or 2A, usually there is a tumor board in every hospital that sits and plans the mode of treatment of that particular woman. In the early stages, usually a surgery is done in most of the cases, but it might be followed up with some kind of radiotherapy. Do not worry, these will not cause any woman too much of a damage, and radiotherapy, if required, is nothing to really be scared about. In cases of the unfortunate late stages like 3 or 4, as I mentioned, radiotherapy is the mainstay of treatment. Chemotherapy might also be used with it, but usually surgery is not, it cannot be done. It's not possible to do so. But even good radiotherapy can help a woman to live several years. So the very fact that someone is suffering from cancer cervix should not totally get you into depression, because there are treatment methods. But as I have mentioned, we have so many other things that we can do in today's day to prevent it. That is what we should all go by. We should avoid the risk factors as much as possible. We should go for an HPV vaccine. Our girls should receive HPV vaccine, which is available nowadays widely. 21 years onwards, we should go for a pap smear. All of us, I know women, especially in this country, are usually very wary. They do not want to undertake any kind of treatment or preventive measures unless they're actually suffering from something. But believe me, please take this pap smear every 3 years, if not 3 years, at least every 5 years. Please do take it to be safe and save yourself and save the society. I thank you all for your patient listening, and please do remain aware about this condition called cancer of the cervix, and please help us to keep the society free from this disease, because now we have all of these methods to prevent it, if not primarily, then at least secondarily. Thank you so much for your patient listening.